Hey guys, close the curtains, kill the lights, crank the volume all the way up until it vibrates in your chest. Because if you think the dead stay dead and never come back to sit at your table, you have never lived next door to Mr. Crowe. This is the summer of 1998 in Willow Creek, Illinois. I was 11 years old. Our house was the last one on Oak Street. The backyard fence butted right up against his property. The old wooden slats had gaps wide enough for 3 boys to spy on everything that happened over there without him knowing. Every single night at exactly 8:30, he did the same thing. He came out onto the back porch. He dragged a second chair across the wooden floorboards. He placed a clean plate on it with hot food. Then he sat down and started talking to the empty chair. Like his wife Elizabeth was sitting right there across from him. She had been dead for 6 years. The first time me, Tony, and Mike saw it, we were up on the roof of my garage. We lay flat on our stomachs, the shingles still warm from the day, our eyes pressed to the gaps in the fence. My heart was pounding before he even spoke a word. My palms were sweaty against the roof. I couldn't look away no matter how much I wanted to. The fear started right there and it never left me. Mr. Crowe was tall and bone-thin, always in the same faded flannel shirt. He set the chair, he set the plate. He sat. Silence, only the quiet clink of his fork. Then a long pause. He tilted his head. The corner of his mouth lifted in a small smile. He whispered, "Elizabeth, remember." The air above the empty chair shimmered for half a second. I blinked hard. It was gone, but my stomach felt like it had dropped out of my body. My throat went dry. I felt the first real twist of fear in my gut that wouldn't go away for the rest of the summer. It stayed with me day and night. We didn't speak. We didn't move. We just watched him eat and talk to the empty space as if it was the most normal thing in the world. The fork kept scraping the plate. The silence between his words stretched longer and longer. The silence made the fear grow inside us. The next day at the mailbox, Mrs. Grayson lowered her voice when we asked. "Crowe? After Elizabeth passed, he never came back right. Says she still comes every evening. And if you get close enough in the dark, you can hear her answer him." We laughed. In the daylight, we were 11. The sun was out and the world felt normal. But the laugh felt forced. It didn't last long. It died in our throats and left us feeling uneasy for the rest of the day. That night I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed. The sheets stuck to my skin. The window was open. Then I heard the slow creak of the second chair. I got up. My legs were shaking. I went to the window. Mr. Crowe was still sitting there. The plate was empty. The second chair was across from him. He leaned forward and whispered, "Night, hun." He stood up, took the plates, went inside. The porch light went off. But the empty chair kept rocking, slowly, by itself, like someone had just stood up and walked away into the dark. I pulled back from the window so fast I hit the wall. My heart was hammering so hard I could feel it in my ears. I told myself it was the wind, but I knew it wasn't the wind. I knew it in my bones, and it scared me more than anything ever had before. From that night on, we watched him every evening. We started going to the roof, earlier and earlier. Every time his screen door creaked, my stomach dropped like a stone. Every time he tilted his head, I felt something cold touch the back of my neck and stay there for hours. The fear started to follow me during the day. I would jump at every shadow in the house. I would check the backyard from my window 100 times a day. I would avoid the backyard completely and stay inside as much as I could. Night after night, it was the same ritual. He set the chair, he set the plate, he sat, he talked to the empty space, he listened, he smiled that small smile, he whispered a few words, then he left. But each time the chair would rock after he went inside. Longer and longer each night. The rocking became the thing I waited for, the thing that made my skin crawl the most. It made me feel like I was part of the ritual now and I couldn't escape it, no matter how hard I tried. The second night, the rocking lasted almost a minute. I counted every second in my head. My friends didn't say anything. Tony just stared with wide eyes. Mike looked away and swallowed hard. We left the roof in silence that felt heavier than before. The third night, the rocking lasted even longer. I started to feel watched back, like the empty chair knew we were there, like something was looking at me through the gaps in the fence. The feeling made me want to run, but I couldn't move. It kept me glued to the roof against my will. The fourth night, the smell started, old perfume. It drifted over the fence and into my room even when the window was closed. It made my skin crawl and my eyes water. I couldn't get it out of my nose no matter how much I tried. It followed me to school the next day and made me sick in class. The fifth night, I started to see the shimmer in my own room when I closed my eyes. The air would move like something was there. I would wake up sweating and check the corners of the room over and over again. The sixth night, the fear made me sick. I couldn't eat dinner. My mom asked what was wrong. I lied and said I was fine. But I wasn't fine. I was terrified, and the terror was growing inside me like a living thing that I couldn't control. The seventh night, I tried to stay in my room, but the pull was too strong. I ended up on the roof alone because the friends had stopped coming. The ritual was the same, but the fear was worse. One night it rained hard. We stayed on the roof anyway. The rain soaked us through our clothes. Mr. Crowe sat there like it didn't touch him. The plate on the empty chair filled with water. He reached out and put his hand on the back of the chair. His fingers tightened as if he was squeezing a real shoulder. That's when I saw her, just for a second. A faint shape of a woman sitting across from him. Wet hair stuck to her face. She turned her head and looked straight toward the fence, straight at me. I blinked. Only the rain and the empty chair. But the cold feeling stayed. It crawled under my skin and stayed there. It made my teeth chatter even though the night was warm. It made me feel like I was the one being watched now, like I was the one being invited to the table. This was only the beginning. We started avoiding the roof some nights, but we always ended up there. The fear was like a magnet. We couldn't stay away no matter how much we tried. It pulled us back every evening like it owned us, and we couldn't fight it. The friends stopped joking about it completely. Tony would just stare with wide eyes. Mike would look away and whisper that we should stop. We barely talked anymore. The silence between us grew heavier every day. The fear was changing us from the inside out. One night I woke up in my room. I felt someone standing right next to my bed. I opened my eyes. The room was empty, but the smell was there. Old perfume. The same one that sometimes came on the breeze from his porch. It filled the air around me. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. I just lay there with my eyes open, waiting for the sun to come up and chase it away. The next day we decided to cross the fence. While Mr. Crowe was at the store, we climbed over. The dirt right under my bedroom window was freshly dug and patted smooth. A small hole, no bigger than my hand. We dug it up with shaking fingers. The dirt was cold and damp. It stuck to our hands like it didn't want to let go. Inside was a little wooden box. There was an old black and white photograph. Elizabeth, young and smiling, and standing next to her, a little boy about 5 years old. The boy looked exactly like me. Same hair, same eyes, same small mole above the left eyebrow. The resemblance hit me like a punch in the gut. It made me feel like I was looking at myself in the past, and that I was the one who was supposed to be with her all along. We shoved the box back in the hole, covered it up, and ran like the devil was chasing us. None of us said a word the whole way home. Our legs felt like they were made of lead. The fear was in our throats and in our chests and in our heads. That night I didn't even pretend to sleep. I sat at the window and waited for 8:30 with my heart in my throat. He came out, set the chair, set the plate, sat down. But this time the pause stretched forever. He stared straight at my house, straight at my window. Then he leaned toward the empty chair and whispered, "He's ready." The air above the chair shimmered harder than before, and she appeared again. This time I saw her clearly. Wet hair, pale skin, eyes that were empty but somehow alive. She looked right at me, smiled. Slowly she raised one hand and waved. At me. My legs turned to water. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't look away no matter how much I tried. Mr. Crowe turned his head too, looked me dead in the eyes through the darkness, and nodded, like the two of us had just made a silent agreement that I couldn't escape. The storm exploded out of nowhere. Thunder cracked overhead. Lightning lit up the whole yard. Rain slammed the roof so hard it sounded like it wanted to tear the house apart. I stood, frozen at the window, and watched them both sitting under the overhang. She leaned close to him, whispered something. He smiled. Then they both turned their heads at the exact same moment and stared straight at my window. And smiled. I jumped backward and hit the floor hard. My heart was beating so violently I thought it would tear out of my chest. I curled up on the floor and covered my head with my arms. I stayed there until the storm passed and the sun came up and the fear was still there. The next morning, Mr. Crowe was gone. The house stood empty. The second chair remained exactly where he left it, on the porch. But when I walked past the house a week later, the chair was rocking, gently, back and forth, even though there wasn't a breath of wind. And a month after that, my mom found an identical little wooden box under my bed. I never opened it. I still haven't. Sometimes, even now, years later, in a different state, in a different house, I wake up in the middle of the night to the sound of that second chair creaking somewhere in the dark. And I know she's still waiting for me. And she knows where I live now. The fear never left. It followed me. It lives in every empty chair I see, every creak in the night, every time I feel someone behind me when the room is empty. I check under my bed every night before I turn off the light. I still do. Because sometimes I hear the whisper, "He's ready." And I know it's for me. The end isn't the end. The end is now. The end is every night when I close my eyes, and the chair is still rocking, somewhere, waiting, for you to listen too closely, for you to look too long, for you to let it in. Don't ever let it in. Because once it knows you saw, it never leaves. It never leaves. It waits, and it smiles. Just like she did. Right at me. Right through the dark. Right into my soul. And now, it's in yours too. Because you listened. You listened to the whole thing. And now the chair is rocking in your room. Listen. Can you hear it? It's rocking. Right now. For you. The fear is in you now too. It started with me. It spread to you. The empty chair is waiting for you to sit down. Don't sit down. Don't look. Don't listen. But you already did. And now it's too late. The rocking is getting louder. It's getting closer. It's in the room with you. Right now, close your eyes if you want. It won't help. She's already there, smiling, waiting for you. The fear is real. The fear is here. The fear is you. The chair is rocking for you now. It will never stop. The fear followed me into adulthood. I moved states. I changed houses. I got married. I had kids. But the rocking sound follows me. It comes at night when the house is quiet. I hear it in the kitchen. I hear it in the living room. I hear it in the hallway. I check every empty chair in the house. I tell my wife it's nothing, but she sees the fear in my eyes. The kids ask why I don't like empty chairs. I can't tell them the truth. The box is still in the attic, unopened. I know what's inside. I know it's waiting for me to open it. The whisper comes when I am alone. He's ready. It comes when I am driving. It comes when I am at work. It comes when I am trying to sleep. The chair is rocking right now in your room. You can feel it. You can hear it. You can see it in the corner of your eye. Don't look. Don't turn around. Don't listen. But you already did. And now she is smiling at you. Right now. The story is over. But the fear is not. The fear is just beginning for you.